So the next, probably the rest of the
The rest of this
yeah.
episode,
Yeah, we're going to be talking about various cases that are going on in the media. They will include things like
sexual
sexual
assault,
assault,
domestic violence,
domestic
drug
violence,
use,
drug use. I'm just
um
copying after you say it.
we're trying to do this this morning in our way, but we do want you all to be safe. Please,
Yeah.
keep yourself safe. If this is a topic, if these topics are triggering for you, you don't have to watch. Or
Yeah.
if you do want to watch, just take heed, be safe.
Yeah. And we're going to be delicate about how we discuss the situation.
Absolutely.
So we're back.
Hi, I'm Nani.
And I'm Ant.
Join us on Law and Order as we unpack the hottest topics, trending lawsuits, and media buzz.
Take a listen as we cut through the noise to reveal fact and what is really going on.
Tune in for sharp insights and a fresh take on today's stories.
Follow us everywhere for your dose of lore.
We have not been in this room for like 3 weeks.
It's been a minute. And of course, it want to be a
has.
freaking tundra. It's so cold in here.
Yeah.
Like, it's usually hot. It's freezing.
I think I prefer it to be cold
Yeah, me too.
rather than hot.
Yeah, 'cause I can put stuff on.
When it's hot, it's hot. And then
Yeah.
it's not fun at all.
It's like thick.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when it's cold, like she brought me a cardigan down
Mhm.
and I took it off now. So I'm
Yeah,
fine
like
now.
she's fine. I'm
Yeah.
still cold.
But all right, we got some life updates.
Yes.
You wanna go first?
So I got married.
She got married.
Ah!
So what's your name?
So I'm actually keeping my name
Mm-hmm.
until 2028 because that's when I need to redo my passport.
Mm-hmm.
And the process of changing your name is like a lot. Like you had to go to the Social Security office, you got to go a whole bunch of places, you had to bring your marriage certificate everywhere. It's a very long process.
Mm-hmm.
So some women either do it like immediately or
Mhm.
some other women like one of my cousins, she's been married for years and she technically still has her last name. Like socially,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go by his last name, and I'm gonna hyphenate it.
Yeah, I figured you were hyphenated.
Yeah,
It
I'm
sounds good
hyphenating my
hyphenated.
name.
Your name
Yeah,
sounds
right.
good
One of my
hyphenated.
friends was like, "It sounds rich." Like,
Yeah, it
oh,
does.
Anthony James Collins. Like,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. I
It
love
sounds
that.
really rich.
So yeah, but socially, I'll go by it. Like we're going to a wedding this weekend,
Mhm.
and my friend messaged me and she was like, "Oh, like, do you want me to put Anthony and Hollins on the reservation, like the seat, whatever?" And I was like, "Yes." But in terms of like work, because they'll like book my travel and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I won't go by it at work because I don't want them to accidentally put the name on there when they're booking my stuff. So yeah, so I got married. It's been tomorrow, it'll be 2 weeks. We got married on a Monday. It was a lot of drama associated with it, but the day of, I was
Mhm.
like, whenever I look at something and I feel like I'm getting irritated, I'm just gonna look at him and I just tell him I love him. And so it kept me grounded and
Aw.
present. So I did that. I didn't have to do it like too many times, thankfully, but there were times like I'll see something like I'm like, I love you so much. He's like, I love you. And yeah, he cried. I didn't cry at all that day, like at
Aw.
all, but he was crying. Even with the like the little camcorders, I saw him
Mhm.
like crying like throughout the day, and I was like,
That video of you with that knife is hilarious because like y'all, I try my best to like edit this out, but Aunt and I both disassociate at certain times. So like
yeah.
I can tell when she's like when I'm watching this back like raw footage of this, I'm like, okay, she's disassociating at this point. Let me edit this out. I could tell that like you were disassociating just with the knife in
And it
your
was so
hand.
fast. Like
Yeah,
it would be
it
so
was
fast.
so quick.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so funny.
What's new with you?
Besides me dyeing my hair, nothing. Guys, I dyed my hair. And it's actually a really big deal for me that I dyed my
Really?
hair. I dyed my hair by myself, first of all.
Oh wow.
But when I was younger, I had locks. And I had them,
Mm.
yeah, when I was in like middle school, I had locks. And I was in middle school, so
Lord.
I know, right? I wanted them to be purple. So I
Mhm.
got them purple. When the lady that dyed them, she accidentally got bleach on my scalp in the back of my head, and all of my hair fell out to the point where like I kind of learned that I have like tension alopecia and have like
Yeah.
a really sensitive scalp.
Mhm.
So the hair didn't grow back for
Mm.
years. It didn't grow back until technically like the pandemic, and I got this shit in middle school. So
Dang.
like it was there, but it just really looked like I had an undercut for years because I had alopecia and couldn't get the hair to fucking grow back because she put bleach on my scalp.
Oh my gosh.
So I never really did color on my hair. So I was going to go to a hair school, and I was going to get my hair dyed. I wanted it like a darker brown than this, but this is fine. I like the color. But they told me that they had to do a 24-hour patch test on my hair. Problem with that is it was Saturday and they're closed on Sunday. And then I was all the way out in Baltimore and I can't get out there during the week. So I was just like, well, I'm feeling impulsive. So I'm going to go to Sally's and I'm going to get the L'Oreal high color. And I'm going to mix some shit. And I did. And
here she is today.
And I did. So it was actually a really big deal for me.
I really low-key have a thinning spot right here because of the last braids I had. And I could tell, like, I don't know, right here on both sides are like sensitive. Like when they braid my hair, it hurt. Like it's a pain right there. So I'm using little Sacred Edge drops and we're gonna see what happens. It's not horrible, like you can't really notice it, but if I like was the part a little bit, you'd be like, oh. You need to tell me where you got your grill from.
Oh.
Yeah. I love it.
Baltimore. Out a place called Golden Brothers.
Okay.
It was really cheap. This was only $240.
Oh, okay.
It only took them a week to do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go to Baltimore.
I'm probably gonna go back. We can go because I'm probably gonna go back in a couple weeks because I want this one. I want like an open gold front on it. I'm probably because I don't want like a whole grill. I'm probably gonna do like individual like little tunes, so it'll just add up to be like a thing. I know I want like a scorpion.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably gonna get that around my birthday. But yeah, it was a cool experience.
Okay.
And then once you do the mold for your teeth, you have to keep the mold. So every time you go back, if you want something new, you just bring them the mold, so that way you don't have to keep doing that. Because you saw the picture I posted, right? I had like the purple stuff in my mouth. Yeah. And that stuff has a flavor, so it's really not a bad experience at all. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if my teeth are gonna shift, so I'm still gonna do it, but we'll see.
Yeah. I was about to say my mom, she has like crooked teeth at the bottom and they gave her a grill tooth. So if you got dental issues, it don't matter. You can still get a grill.
Yes. So there was this topic on TikTok. I made a video about it, but people were talking about how like women who tell their husbands or partners or whatever, their friends' business are like the worst women ever. They're like pick-me's. They were just calling them all kind of horrible stuff. And I just want to know, like, what is your opinion on that? And like, what do you think?
Me personally, I don't tell my boyfriend stuff because he don't really care. Like, he don't care about nobody. He really don't care. But like, I might tell like my best friend, but like spouse personally, like I wouldn't tell anybody something that I wouldn't want the whole world knowing or like a large part of somebody's network knowing.
Yeah.
Like, if I told you something and you told X, I'd be like, okay, because like, well, the two of you are now friends of mine. So it's kind of just like, that doesn't really bother me. Like, it's just like, I think the other issue with that is like I think sometimes community gets lost where like a lot of times people aren't in community with their friends' spouses. So they don't end up like trusting them or seeing them as a friend of or seeing them to be as in community with. So I think sometimes it's just kind of like, oh, my friend is married, but the person that she's married to is just his character.
It's like a stranger to me.
Yeah, it's like a stranger to me. We're like, which I think before you, I wouldn't be upset at like any of my friends, but like your husband is the only one of my friends that spouses that or significant others that I've ever really. I remember the day that the day that of your your 25th birthday, the Sunday fun day that we did.
Yeah, it might be 26.
Yeah,
yeah.
Whichever one it was, and X texted me the plans. I was like, the fuck?
Like,
because I didn't even know the nigga name up until that point. I don't think I really knew his name. You were just saying like, oh, my boyfriend. And I was just kind of like, oh, Ant's boyfriend. That was his name to me. And then like, y'all had been dating for like a year and a half at that point, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
And I was just, well, no, it had to be a year because in October.
Yeah.
So 22, 23.
Oh, yeah, a year.
Yeah, it was October of 2023.
Yeah, so like a year.
Yeah, so yeah, they had been together for a year. So I had heard his name, knew who he was, but like the name was just Ant's boyfriend to me. I did not know his actual name. So for him to have my number, I was like, and text me about plans. I'm like, this is going different. This is different.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't think anything of it, of course. And then like now that like I know the two of you and just know kind of like how the two of you operate as far as like community is like X is like a friend of mine. So I was just it wouldn't be an issue for me. Like if I told you something and you told X, it'd be like, okay.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing in the conversation on TikTok is that the people who were upset about it were only thinking about it in the frame of like, oh, you're telling this person something about me to look for both of y'all to look down on me, which I thought was strange.
To kind of like
because they were like, oh, you just wanna feel better about yourself and your relationship, so you're talking shit about your friends. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I feel like that's a reflection of the type of people you have in your life.
Yeah, because
or the reflection of yourself.
This one woman was in my video. She was in the comments with like, my friend did this to me and da da da. And at first I thought she was being hypothetical, but I'm like, oh, you really went through something like this, and that's why you're upset. Because my take on it is, I'm like you. I put the like onus on me. Like if I don't want so and so knowing about this, I'm not going to tell their and it don't even have to be a partner. It could be somebody could be really close with like their parents, their cousin, their aunt, their uncle, and it's like, oh, I know if I tell person A this, person B is going to know.
Yeah.
And if I don't want person B to know, I'm not going to tell person A. And people get so caught up in but I should be able to talk to my friend about this and they not tell. Yeah, you should, but you can't. So what about like what now? You know? Yeah. So it's just that kind of phrasing to me where it's like people. I don't know. I'm a very big like take accountability of your actions. I'm like, okay, I'm only in control of myself. What do I have to do to make sure that I like this outcome doesn't happen?
Right.
And that's for me not to me to shut up.
Yeah, like, I take a lot of accountability on myself. If I don't want somebody in your life knowing something, I'm just not going to tell you.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah.
I feel like you should be in community enough with your friend and their significant other to trust that like there's no malice.
Yeah.
But like if you really do feel like that this person has malice and would be telling your business in a malicious way,
like
why you shouldn't be friends with them.
Yeah, why are you friends with them? Why are you telling them your business? Like people just don't want to take accountability for their actions. But they're like, I should be able to do this. I should. And people get so caught up in
But
that.
also you gotta have like discernment. Like maybe you can tell one of your friends something that you can't tell the other. Like you can tell one of your friends this and they won't tell their significant other. But also you should, if it's really an issue for you, then you should have friends that also have that same issue where it's like we tell each other secrets and we don't tell our significant others. Like we think that is a boundary that we just will not cross. Me personally, I don't mind. Yeah.
I think so many arguments on TikTok, because they boil down to opinions,
it's kind of like
we're just talking in circles.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody thinks different ways. A lot of people might agree on something. A lot of people might disagree on something. Let's just carry on.
But we argue things as if they're like fact. Yeah. Which is going into the bigger conversation of like anti-intellectualism.
Yes.
Which we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
One like
maybe the next one.
Yeah. Maybe next episode because
we have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So the next, probably the rest of
the rest of this episode.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about various cases that are going on in the media. They will include things like sexual assault,
domestic violence,
drug use. I'm just copying after you say it.
We're trying to do this this morning in our way, but we do want you all to be safe. Please. You know, keep yourself safe. If this is a topic, if these topics are triggering for you, you don't have to watch.
Yeah.
Or if you do want to watch, just take heed, be safe.
Yeah. And we're going to be delicate about how we discuss the situation. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, something that's happening right now, I guess, what is that girl's name? Kelsey. That's her name, Kelsey.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know her last name.
Are framing as if new evidence has come up in like the Tory Lanez case, where he was already convicted and he is currently serving time. I guess Kelsey's bodyguard came out and said that it looked like a press conference.
Yeah.
Where he was saying that he heard Kelsey say that she is the one who shot Megan and that it wasn't Tory. And so now of course the incels are using this as an opportunity to say like, we told oh my gosh, I saw a woman make a video and she was like, I told y'all that is a good man. He didn't do it. Da, 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 da. And I feel like the whole Tory case is like a litmus test for like if people are like, like what kind of person you really are.
Yes.
So I feel like this incident has brought it up all over again where people are like, see, I told you he was lying. Mind you, news outlets were framing it as though there was new evidence in the case. One, that's not new evidence in the case. The case is done. Of course, you can appeal and all that other stuff. But that's not what happened. It's just a press conference and he said some stuff. Mind you, even if he had during the trial been called as a witness and said that, he probably wouldn't have even been able to say that because that is literally what hearsay is. You saying that you heard somebody say something else is hearsay, especially when you can't because I believe that she had immunity.
Yes, and I think that's been my issue with this. So originally, when they were looking for him, he was kind of nowhere to be found. And, you know, he really wasn't a part of this case at all. So the fact that he chose to make a statement after the fact was kind of like, okay, well, where were you to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And now you're saying that you heard Kelsey say this thing that she could have said all along because she had immunity. She could have got on the stand and said that technically that she did it and she had full immunity. So what was like, what was all of this for? Like,
hearsay specifically is an like out of court statement brought in and used as like, okay, like this is evidence that that person did something. Like that is not like you can't do that in court.
so
And
hearsay
honestly,
isn't evidence.
no, hearsay is so there's like you take a class in law school, it's called evidence. You learn what evidence you can bring in and what evidence you can't bring in. Hearsay, there's different kinds of evidence that you can't bring in, and there's like different kinds of hearsay as well. But an out of court statement, a statement made out of court that you're trying to use that aren't your own words, that are somebody else's words, that's literally like the baseline of hearsay. He wouldn't have been able to say that in the first place. But I was talking to one of my friends who is a criminal defense attorney, because I was like making a post about how like y'all think Tory would have just not said anything all that time. Like it was somebody that tweeted that and I posted it, and he just wanted to clarify that like just because a defendant doesn't get on the stand and say that they're not guilty doesn't mean they're not guilty, which I already know. But I just want to we might have him like here one day to like talk more to the audience about that. But a lot of the time, like I don't think well, I guess we'll talk about that later. But I don't know if Diddy is testifying in his case.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Yeah, but it's kind of like defendants. It's kind of generally known like defendants should not be testifying. Like you don't want to do that. So don't just think, oh, this person didn't get up and say that they were not guilty and all this other stuff. That isn't a reason to believe that they are guilty. Just so y'all know. But
I was gonna say, they do that a lot in like, I don't know if anyone watches like Law and Order, which is Law and Order, like SVU. It's a big deal like when defendants get up and try to like get on the stand. It's really it's something that you don't see. It's not something that you're really supposed to do. Because
that cross-examination,
it can go bad.
Yeah. It's most likely better. Like your team, your like attorney team or whatever is going to tell you like it's more, like it would be better for you.
Let your lawyer speak.
Yeah, let your lawyer speak for you. You know some of those crazy cases that they'll have on Law and Order where like the person's like, you're fired. I'm just gonna represent myself, and they think that they're about to eat.
Oh my gosh, they always end up in jail. Yeah, I love those episodes.
Oh my gosh, and it happens in real life too. Like people will literally say, "I'm just gonna represent myself."
There was a man that went viral like a couple years ago. I remember he was black. He was crazy as hell. He was getting on there doing all types of stuff. It was going viral. I can't remember it. Oh my god, it was so funny.
Yeah. But part of me suspects that like this whole Tory Lanez, like the little press conference thing that happened with the bodyguard kind of came about right after he was like, they said that he had been stabbed.
Oh yeah.
Mind you, we haven't really seen anything to verify that. So for all we know, that could not have happened to me.
No, he got stabbed. Oh. He was in the hospital.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like I didn't see any.
Girl, he got stabbed 15 times by, I can't remember the man's name, but it was a Hispanic man. Girl, he got stabbed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he got poked the fuck up.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, He got stabbed.
He got stabbed 15 times.
15.
It's either 15 or 14. But it's not funny. But it was funny when I was listening to it. I was listening to the Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. Y'all just listen to podcasts like all day. So I was listening to the Breakfast Club, and Lauren LaRosa, she was covering the Tory Lanez thing, talking about the incident that happened, him getting stabbed. And when they first reported it, one day they just said that he got stabbed like 15 times. The second day that they went to record it, Jess was like, "It's a Mexican," and everybody was like, "Girl, what?" And she was like, "If somebody gets stabbed in jail more than 5 times, it's a Mexican." Girl, when it came out that it was a Mexican, it wasn't funny, but her reaction was so funny. She was like, "I told y'all,
I'm screaming.
Somebody gets stabbed in jail more than 5 times, it's a Mexican." I said, "No way."
When I think about stabbing, I think about the UK people, because their gun laws are so strict. And I'm like, oh my gosh, would I rather be stabbed or shot?
I don't know. It depends on where.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather get.
I'm just hoping that my adrenaline takes over and I don't feel it.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, like I know it's.
I would rather, if it's stabbed, I would rather get stabbed than shot. But if it's slashed, I don't want to be slashed. Yeah. I don't want to be like, that I don't want.
Oh, goodness.
That I don't want.
Goodness. But, so, after the whole Tory Lanez thing happened, of course, people was...
We got another abuser.
Out here been like, free Tory. I think Drake posted it too. Or did that happen? Or was that an old post?
No, girl. It's a bunch of people.
Free Tory, free Tory, free Tory, which is crazy. It's like... Anyway, so somebody posted free Tory, and then the next day, while the free Tory post was still up, was arrested. None other than Christopher Maurice Brown.
Oh, he posted it?
He posted it.
He posted free Tory, and then the next day got arrested.
Yes, I think his story was still up when he got arrested.
Child.
So the thing is, it's not like Chris Brown just did something and then he got arrested. Mm-hmm. British police arrested him in Manchester last Thursday over an assault that took place in 2023 when he smashed a bottle over someone's head. I don't know if y'all remember that. And he's been ordered to stay in custody in Manchester until June 13th. But the thing is...
Meanwhile, his tour starts like the 6th of June.
June 8th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So how's that going to work out for him? I don't know. He was charged with grievous bodily harm. And let me see.
Do we know a lot about how different is the court system over there?
Very. Yeah. I don't know anything about how they do stuff across the pond. But I mean, I guess we'll see. Because I'm wondering, I'm like, if you knew they looking for you out there,
why would you go?
I mean, you had a tour. Like, why would you schedule a tour?
But what's so crazy? I don't know why men do this, but there's a whole thing about spinning the block. You know how many times I know so many people who have gotten in trouble because like they did something and then they went to go spin the block. They went back to the crime scene.
That's the thing. Characteristic about arsonists.
For real?
They
stay to
back.
Watch.
Yeah,
they stay to watch.
They stay to watch, or they always come back. Like, which is I love, like, because I think I learned that on Criminal Minds, but I kind of love that like behavioral analysis. It's like, wow, it's so ingrained in you, and like we've done so much research that we know that you're going to do this. Like, that's so crazy to think about. Yeah.
But I like, if you knew if you knew them people was looking for you, why would you go back?
Yeah.
It don't matter though.
I actually got invited to watch or to like go to his concert in August by some people because they're like trying to do like a big thing for this girl's birthday and Mind you, it kind of worked out because we are another wedding. We're going to a wedding at that time, and so I was able to say that. I didn't have to say, go on my whole like, I actually don't support Chris Brown and I would never go to his concert. So yeah.
I would have been like, no.
Yeah. No. I'm just kind of like, I don't
love you.
The people who it was, I was like, I don't want to make it a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we got one more.
It has been reported that Halle Bailey has or like been granted a temporary restraining order against DDG. So that's been all in the media like this week or whatever. He like found out on like streaming. Like he was on some other like problematic streamer guys stream and was like acting shocked and stuff like that. So we actually were able to find a copy of the temporary restraining order, or more so like her petition for a temporary restraining order. It's 52 pages. In the actual restraining order where she's like detailing like their relationship and like things that have happened. Apparently there was a situation where passing the baby Halo off to DDG, and apparently they got into like some kind of fight or whatever, and he was like grabbing on her, and like I think he hit her head to the steering wheel, and that's how he chipped her tooth. And she had like bruises on her body. She had pictures of that in the restraining order. And then she like ended up riding with him, like because she didn't want to leave the baby. She rode with him to the place. His family was there. She was telling them like, "Hey, I'm trying to like please like help so we can make a schedule for him." And they're like, "Oh, like just go," all this other stuff. But what people they're like, she's trying to send him to jail. And once again, there's a difference between criminal and civil court cases. This is a civil court case for custody. And then also she has a temporary restraining order, not a full restraining order. The temporary restraining order would be in place until they have court, which is in early June.
Yes,
I
it's
believe.
like the earlier middle of June.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so in her petition, she has like text messages. Apparently, like he went to her house, she wasn't there. He essentially like broke into her house. He didn't go through the front door. He went through like her sliding door or something like that. Went into, and she has the screenshots. Went into her room, took a picture of her bed, and was like, "Oh, so this is this is what you've been up to." Mind you, it's just like a messy bed. It didn't look like sus. It was just like, she just got up in the morning. But that's such a creepy thing to do. Like,
and it's also so funny that
like, invasion of privacy.
Yeah, and just maybe like a couple episodes ago, we were talking about DDG where he felt some type of way about not being able to see his child, and he had said that he went to her home and was downstairs with the baby, and then out of nowhere she kicked him out. But now it's starting to sound like you were going to her home without permission. Like,
and she told him, she wrote that in the petition. She said he came over, she already let him know that they're sick, and she doesn't want the baby to leave because they're sick. He ended up coming in that house. He's like going off on her. He notices the Ring camera. He like takes the Ring camera off, like unplugs or whatever. She like gets it. In the process of like them going back and forth, she like plugs it back up and he smashes it and breaks it. And she says in the petition that she will bring that footage from the Ring camera to court when they go to court. She's also seeking like she's filming a movie in Italy for 2 months, so she's seeking to bring the baby with her, like he stayed with her for those 2 months. She also is trying to set it up so where like if DDG has a baby, like he can only get the baby through or like have supervised visitation of the baby. And also like if he is to get the baby, like he needs to send her the flights to and from and all that information, and like can't sign him up for like any passports or anything like that. And it sounds like she's doing this as a like precaution of like, okay, so he can't just take my baby and like that's just it. So just to explain, a temporary restraining order is an injunction. It's an order from the court prohibiting a party from performing or ordering a specific act. Temporary restraining orders aren't always like, okay, you can't be around this person. It could be you got to stay away a certain amount of feet from them. You can't call them, text them. She's asking for them also to not stream about her.
Which they haven't been doing a very good job of that.
Yeah.
But
that's why I was wondering if the restraining order was granted. Because I see her petition, but I don't see the order granting it. And it could be as simple as like signing the bottom of it. Because just a little backstory, I actually worked in a domestic violence clinic when I was in law school, and I went to law school in California, which is where this is occurring. So I've seen those petitions before. Working in that field was just so like chilling. The stuff that I would see, and hear about. That's how I know I couldn't go into that kind of law because like I'm hearing what these like spouses or like boyfriends and they have like children together do. Like one guy, he was like, she found texts in his phone of like messaging a 12-year-old girl and sending her like texts, and she was telling his mother about it. And his mother was like ignoring her and was like, you need to let him see his kids and blah, blah, blah. You just really see how like the sheriff's department, the people that work there are kind of like fatigued, I guess, about the whole situation. So it's like a woman is literally coming to them begging them like, protect me. He took my kids. He da 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 da, and they're kind of like mundane about it. Like they're like, oh well, you got to take this number. You gotta. This is what we can't do. This is what we can't do. And it's like I get it because you go through so much, but it's like it was just so sad. Yeah.
I think the media coverage of this situation has been absolutely disgusting and disheartening from the moment that it started. The first thing that I saw, the first like comments about this situation that I saw was like, well, that's what she gets because before DDG was with Halle, he was with Ruby Rose, and everyone was like, well, Ruby Rose put in her close friends that DDG was abusive and Halle was in that close friends. Or there were times where Ruby Rose was very like, honest about like, or, was alleging that DDG had been abusive to her. So everyone's first response was, that's what she gets.
Yeah.
And then the second response was like, oh, this is just another takedown, trying to separate the black man from his child and stuff like that. Or also being like, well, she is a violent person herself. And it's just so funny that like now that we're seeing like this week has really just been so disgusting to see the way that men are treating women, because there's no such thing as a perfect victim. You can't stay, you can't leave, you can't fight back. Either way, you're fucking screwed.
Like, and it's all your fault.
It's like, always your
fault. The
fault.
things that these men are saying, like I don't follow or even acknowledge what DJ Academics, like what he be saying, but like it's literally
is he even a DJ?
Is he a DJ?
What the fuck is he?
Who are you?
Like who? Like literally.
Besides the fact that you just hate women, like to just and the thing is, he don't be knowing nothing. Or actually, we don't know what he knows, but he just be seeing the headline, be like, it was the woman's fault.
He has a case against him himself.
He does. He sucks.
Oh my God.
Like, I think
you shouldn't be listening to rapists about defending other rapists. Like,
because even like the whole them talking about like the Ruby Rose thing, I'm like, stuff isn't as cut and dry as it seems to us. Like we don't know all that went into that. We don't, and even then, it doesn't mean that she deserves for this kind of thing to happen to her.
Right.
Like we really don't know who she is. We don't know, but no matter who you are, like you don't deserve for someone to like put their hands on you. Like, yeah. And like I really had to take a step back from kind of social media on like and seeing all this stuff, and it's just like as soon as like the Tory news broke, like that press conference happened, I'm like, here we go again.
I immediately unplugged because I was like, I can't. I'm done with like rage bait, like rage, like there's no point of explaining certain things to certain people.
And so much stuff is for views. That's why I had a talk with someone, and they were like, once they realize like how people on social media, like specifically TikTok, get paid, they completely stopped interacting with all like the rage stuff. Like y'all see like if you seeing these videos on TikTok and these people are speaking out of their ass, you need to scroll. Press not interested. Actually, press not interested. Go back to your watch history. Block them. And then just
move
go
on with your life. There's no point of arguing with people who are defending rapists and abusers. If you think this is bad, they think this is good. You're not gonna change them. Just move the fuck on.
So that's why said something about like devil's advocate, and she was like, just take the word advocate off, and you have a more proper moniker for who you are.
Right. Like sometimes like I'm not arguing with anybody about Tory Lanez. I'm not arguing with anybody about Chris Brown. I'm not arguing with anybody about DDG. These are not conversations that really need to be had outside of a courtroom.
Yeah, like I don't need to, like you can't argue you or anyone else's humanity to somebody who isn't willing to listen to you. Like, or you even need to argue that.
Okay. Time to get down to the nitty gritty. Just for a second warning. please be safe. Take heed.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
We're going to talk about the Diddy case.
Yes. So just to be very transparent, we've talked about this a lot. We are a bi-weekly podcast. And the way that we will be approaching the Diddy trial is kind of giving you the information as a summary. It wouldn't be smart for us to try to give you the information as quickly as possible, as soon as possible. It doesn't make sense for us, and we want to stay true to our platform. So we'll be giving you the information as after it is summarized, after everything has happened. Because we are bi-weekly, it really does give us the luxury of being able to kind of like take a beat and wait for more accurate information to come out. So for instance, like the Halle and DDG situation, a lot of the stuff came out, and like there were more things that came out day by day. So it allows for us to kind of just, as things come out, just wait, take a second, and then deliver them to you all, our audience. And that's how we will also be doing the Diddy case. We won't be giving you the information as it comes out. We'll be giving you the information after it comes out in an accurate and plain language format. So that way you all can understand it. You all can digest it. We won't be fluffing up any language to make this more salacious than it already is. We want to be very careful and very delicate how we approach these topics. Okay. Now let's get into it. So, this is a lot, y'all. It really is a lot. So I'm gonna paint you all a timeline from day one of all of the things that happened before the trial. So how did he even get to a trial? So between 2000 and somewhere in between, I can't remember, I don't know the exact dates of their relationship, but Diddy was dating Cassandra Ventura in the early 2000s. He signed her as a musical artist. He signed her for a 10 album deal, which is insane because not even Beyonce has 10 albums. Like Beyonce as a solo artist does not even have, well, she should have 10 albums now. Maybe this is like her 8th or 9th album, Cowboy Carter. All of that to say, a lot of artists don't have 10 albums. So signing someone to a 10 album deal is practically predatory in itself. So he signs her to a 10 album deal, but we only get one album out of Cassie. And that is because, later on in the case, we do find out that, so much of her time was involved in, their sexual escapades that she never had time to really be a recording artist. So in March 5th of 2016, a surveillance footage captures Sean Diddy Combs physically assaulting Cassie in a hallway of a Los Angeles hotel. The video wasn't made public until May 2024. But Cassie filed a lawsuit in November 16th of 2023. Cassie files a civil lawsuit accusing Combs of rape, abuse, and prolonged control during their relationship. She filed the civil suit for $30 million, but they settled it for 20, and they settled it the next day. The next day. So she files November 16th. He settles November 17th. He got that quick and out of there. Now, around this time, we do start to hear more allegations come out about Diddy from various women. But one of the biggest lawsuits that came out after this was by a producer, Lil Rod Jones. So Jones's lawsuit is really important from what I think, because this is the first time that we hear him being accused of racketeering, RICO, and sex trafficking. So in a 73-page lawsuit, Jones accuses Combs of sexually harassing him, drugging him, threatening him while he was working on the Love album from September 2022 to November 2023. So a year of like abuse, assault, and all of this. So the music producer also alleged that Combs and others that that he was hired were also sexually assaulting him. Did you ever get a chance to read it?
Not the whole thing, no.
Girl, I don't know. I remember I read the full thing because whoever wrote it was, I don't want to call it a good read, But once I started reading it,
Yeah.
it was hard to like take my eyes off of, because he doesn't just accuse Diddy. He also talks about his assistants, the
Mm-hmm.
people in on his label, his A&R. One of the first incidents that he talks about is Diddy shooting someone in a in a recording studio, and his people coming to clean it up.
Yeah.
So this is really the first time that we get to see this like criminal enterprise
Yeah.
that is, being painted for us.
In what you're saying about, like, the way that it was written, like,
Mhm.
that is how attorneys should be writing.
Yeah.
Especially to get the attention of, like, the judge, more so persuasive writing. Like, that's how it's, like, really supposed to be, as
Mhm.
opposed to, when we did the like Dank DeMoss case, where it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, this is like BS.
Yeah. But yeah, one thing that I found really interesting about a lot of the civil suits that Diddy has up against him, they are all by the same lawyer. A lot of them are by the same
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, who is Tony Bugsby. Tony Bugsby is also the same lawyer who was going up against Diddy and Jay-Z
Mm-hmm.
when that lawsuit was filed. That was thrown out, can't be brought back up again by the victim. And then is also the person representing the person accusing Shannon Sharp of rape and
Mm.
abuse. So Tony Bugsby has a lot going on as far as like these sexual assault cases.
Against these high profile.
Yes, high profile sexual assault cases.
Mhm.
Okay, so in May 2024, we discussed that the video was released. The video of Cassie and Sean getting in the, this wasn't even an argument, him just straight up abusing her, dragging her and kicking her. My
Yeah. Didn't they
God.
release a longer video?
Yes, the
Mm-hmm.
full video is
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So the video was released by CNN,
Uh-huh.
which crazy that news outlets do that to people,
Yeah.
whatever. Because he already had a federal case against him at this point.
Yeah.
So the video really didn't need to be released, but no, media publications, they do what they do. So September 16th of 2024 is when Diddy gets arrested. Combs is arrested and indicted on federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. He is held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. So the summary of his charges are sex trafficking, racketeering and conspiracy, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Racketeering is operating a criminal enterprise that engaged in various illegal activities. So the prosecution has to prove that he had this enterprise, that he was using some of the people that were on his label, like A&R assistants and he was involving them on like these escapades and things like that, that he was running a criminal enterprise.
In order to show that, or to like prove there's racketeering, you have to show that one, the defendant agreed to commit the substantive racketeering offense through agreeing to participate in two racketeering acts, two, that he knew the general status of the conspiracy, and three, that he knew the conspiracy extended beyond his individual role.
Mm-hmm.
And this may go beyond just like Diddy, but also like the people who were alleged to be like in cahoots with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so interesting how like usually if you think of like a RICO or you think of racketeering, you're thinking of like this large like maybe drug operation or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when we talk about like sex trafficking and the industry that is, honestly, I kind of feel like that's like probably bigger than like drugs.
There was some like conspiracy that came out about sex trafficking, like using like fake job listings on like Indeed as like a way to
Mm-hmm.
like traffic people. And someone was like that could very well be true, but what that does is it paints a picture of trafficking that is almost like not a fantasy, but something that is just an exaggerated version of trafficking. And we never really talk about the small cases of trafficking where like you just tell one person to go from here to the next place and you're controlling like their movement. Something just
Yeah.
as simple as that. Like we often don't talk about it, but like prostitution with like a pimp involved is sex trafficking.
I remember seeing videos of like a survivor saying, "Oh, I survived sex trafficking,"
Mhm.
and in their stories, I would be so confused because it sounded like they just let them go. I'm like, why
Yeah.
they just let them go? But it's like, what is that person going to do? Like, how are
Yeah.
they going to get them? Because I'm telling you, like the image I had in my mind of what sex trafficking was before, realizing that it doesn't always look that like grandiose.
Yeah, which is why some people don't even realize that they're being like when they are in sex trafficking situations, which
Mhm.
is what will come up in this case where like you don't realize that you are being sex trafficked because you think that you are in somewhat control of the situation,
Yeah.
and you think because you can go from one place to the next and you have
Yeah.
some control over the situation, you don't even realize that you're being sex trafficked,
Mm-hmm.
which is, it'll come up in the case. So, do you have anything else you want to say about the charges?
In order to be found guilty of violating the RICO statute, the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt, one, that an enterprise existed,
Mm-hmm.
two, that the enterprise affected interstate commerce,
Mm-hmm.
three, that the defendant was associated with or employed by the enterprise,
Mm.
four, that the defendant engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity, and five, that the defendant conducted or participated in the conduct of the enterprise through that pattern of racketeering activity through the commission of at least two acts of racketeering activity as set forth in the indictment.
Okay.
So those are all the things they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, and because y'all know, like, there are different standards that you have to prove.
So October 10, 2024, the trial date is set. The judge schedules the Combs trial to begin on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2025.
Fun fact, that's when I got married.
That's when she got married.
There it is.
So,
Yeah.
So November 27th, the judge denies, November 27th, 2024, the judge denies Combs bail.
For the third time.
He cannot get
You ain't
out
going
of
anywhere.
jail.
You know that song by Halle and Ken the Man?
Yeah.
The questions?
Do you eat the butt?
Yeah, I'm talking about like the part where it's like, me and my bitch don't trust you. That's what the judge said.
No, really, don't let him out.
Right.
Don't let him out.
Keep
Put him
in there.
Yeah. Okay, so April 18th, 2025, the trial delay request denied. So in April, that's when Brian Steele was brought on to Diddy's defense team. Brian Steele is also the same lawyer who just recently got off Young Thug on his RICO case. So Brian Steele was brought on, and he really just wanted to kind of like catch up on everything that happened, but because they were so close to the court date, the start of the trial date, he denied it. Not only did he deny it just because it was so close, but one of the witnesses, Cassie Ventura, is 8 months pregnant. So they really need to kind of like hurry this trial up so that way they can get her on the stand and get her off the stand.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really not playing no games about the start date of the trial. The trial is supposed to be 8 weeks. The judge is getting straight to business. He's really not playing with anybody. So May 5th, the trial begins. Jury selection commences in Combs federal trial in Manhattan.
All right. So let's talk about jury selection.
Mm-hmm.
Lore, I actually, and I feel like I've mentioned this before, I've actually done a criminal trial. And it let me know that I don't want to do criminal trials. So essentially, I'll just talk about how it works in DC. In terms of jury trial, you call up a large number of people. I think we had like maybe 100 something, and you really kind of like cap it at like 60 or something like that because you're trying to pick from like that pool of who's going to be the jurors. So essentially, how it works is all the people are in the room. The judge is asking them a set of questions like, have you ever experienced this kind of like crime? Is anyone in your family police officers? Do you have an aversion against police officers? Things like that. So the people who answer yes on any of the questions, the judge calls them in one by one and asks them about like what they wrote in an effort to like understand whether or not they can be impartial and sit on the jury trial. Like that's one of the questions that they ask as well. Mm-hmm. Jury selection is so annoying because like, and I don't even mean to sound like I hope this doesn't sound elitist or something, but people are stupid. Like this one guy in a jury, you're not supposed to talk to other, like the outside world about what's going on in your participation as a jury member. So this one guy, she's like, oh, they know a few facts of the case, but not any names or anything like that. I think they know what neighborhood the like crime occurred in and stuff like that. And so this one guy, he's like, oh yeah, I don't know if I can be impartial because I've talked to a lot of my friends like about the like where the area was, and a lot of negative things happened to them. And the judge was literally looking at him like, I told you not to talk to anybody about the facts of the case. He was like, yeah, I know, blah blah. She was just like, all right, bye. But the thing I also hated is like people would come up there, say they could be impartial, and then keep
about
talking
all the reasons
about
why they
exactly
are impartial.
Like one lady would just, and I don't know why the judge was going back and forth with her like this. She was like, okay, can you be impartial? She was like, yes. And then she was asking her about the other stuff she wrote, and she was like, yeah, even though like I do feel this way and about the police and about crime and da da da, I feel like I can still be impartial. And then the judge is like, but what specifically do you feel? Like she like, oh my gosh, it went on for, it was the most stupid back and forth ever. So essentially after like they weed all those people out, the both sides get to determine like people that they like essentially don't want on the jury. There's a certain number of like people you could just throw out for no reason at all. I forgot what it's called. I'm gonna look it up. But after you get rid of like that certain number, now if you're trying to get rid of somebody, you have to like state a reason. And a lot of times people won't want other attorneys on the jury. They won't, but what they will want is a diverse jury. Because I remember when we were doing ours, the person I was representing, she was a Black woman. And I feel like in explaining her story, like people would have been sympathetic. So we have these Black jurors basically saying like, I hate the police. I don't respect the law. I can't sit on this jury. Like just trying to get out of jury duty, but y'all don't understand. Like we need y'all. Like we need y'all on the jury. That's how we end up with all white juries, which is what our people fought not to have.
Right.
So it's like serve on the jury and actually, participate in
do your
society.
civic duty.
Do your civic duty and actually like sit on a jury.
Day 1, we get our final jury. We have 12 members and 6 alternates. I don't know what the 6 alternates look like, but just to recap, our jury is made up of 8 men, 4 women. And there was someone that was Brian Buckmeyer. He was talking about how this might just come in the defense might really look at this as a good thing, because what Ant was talking about, I thought that after all of the questions that the judge got to select the jury, I didn't realize that the defense and the prosecution got to select jury members like it's fucking kickball in elementary school, that they just get to pick one by one. And during jury selection, Diddy was actually present because you essentially get to have some control over the people that will be deciding the rest of your life.
Yeah, we like when we did it, the defendant was sitting with us.
Yes.
Like so she could see.
Yes.
And
so ultimately it is your legal team's, choice on like who the jury will be, but you do get a say in like, oh, I think this person might be a good fit. So opening statements. So the prosecution is arguing that they're trying to portray Combs as the leader of a criminal enterprise that exploited his influence in the music industry to lure and manipulate women into participating in orchestrated sexual acts at so-called freak-off parties. They allege that Combs used various controlled substances during these events to keep victims compliant, sometimes without their knowledge. The indictment includes accusations of kidnapping, arson, drug offenses, and widespread sexual abuse. The defense argument is that, mind you, Diddy has a team of 8 lawyers.
That's a lot.
Yeah, one of the lawyers being Brian Steele, who we discussed earlier. Their argument is that like, yes, Diddy is into some weird freaky shit, and yes, he isn't a domestic abuser, but it wasn't to the extent of racketeering and sex trafficking. Tinny Garagos, one of Diddy's lawyers, gives the opening statement and says that Diddy's actions are those of a domestic abuser and are indefensible. He says that Diddy's, or I don't know if it's a he or she, but the attorney says that Diddy's, actions are indefensible. However, if the charges were that of domestic abuse, they wouldn't even be on trial. So Diddy's lawyers aren't trying to paint him as this good person.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, yeah, he did some freaky shit and he's a violent person.
Yeah.
But
that's not what he's charged with right now.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, but it's not sex trafficking.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, all this other stuff.
Yes.
But this is not a RICO.
Yeah. So they're saying that, like, yes, he's a terrible. They're really not defending his character.
Yeah.
They're really just trying to defend his actions.
That is obviously strategic. So it's like, because if they were, people like, oh, this BS. Yeah. So it's like, let's cut out the noise.
Yeah. Because I mean, you can't fool people because one of the questions for the jury was, have you seen the video with Cassie in the hallway, right? You can't get past those certain things. Like, you can't trick people to say, oh, you didn't see what you saw. He dragged her and he kicked her.
But some people don't care about seeing what they saw. That lady on TikTok talking about God loves Diddy too, and he can be forgiven, all this other stuff. And it's like, leave the room.
South Park said even the devil is jealous of Diddy, which is hilarious. But yeah, so they really are not trying to defend his character, more so just trying to defend his actions to the extent of sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So the first witness also comes up, which they are really speeding up this trial.
Yeah.
They give opening statements, and then it's time for the first witness testimony. The first witness is a male escort who testified that Combs paid him thousands of dollars to engage in sexual acts with Combs' then girlfriend Cassie Ventura while Combs watched. So the witness pretty much says that the first time that they had intercourse, that he was hired. I think he's a part of, like, maybe, I don't know what agency they got him from, but I guess they called this number and they found somebody to come. And he walked into the room, he saw Cassie was dressed up or whatever. Diddy sitting in the corner, completely, like, blindfolded, can't tell who he is. And she's just like, my husband just likes to watch. We're just going to oil ourselves up and we're just going to do this, and whatever it leads to, it's whatever it leads to. Now, this witness says that Cassie was pretty much in control of the entire situations. And he really didn't know that the man in the corner was Diddy until after a few times that they had already engaged with each other.
Yeah, mask on. I thought it was just blindfolded. How do you not recognize Diddy? I don't know.
I mean, maybe it was dark. No, not blindfolded. Like, face, like something over his face and something over, like he was pretty disguised and cloaked. So the male escort did not know who Diddy was upon, like, their first and couple interactions. Yeah. It wasn't until one day he goes to a house and Diddy answers the door that he kind of was like, oh, yeah, this is Diddy. So but he really says that Cassie was kind of in control of a lot of these situations.
A lot of times people who are the victims of, like, an abusive situation learn their abuser's triggers. Yeah. So it's like, it may seem like, oh, like, she's in control, all this other stuff. But obviously that person is just
she knows
sharing, he's sharing what, like, how he perceived the situation. Like, he's not saying, like, this is what it is. It's more so like, okay, like, they're like, the attorneys are trying to talk to him like, okay, what did you gain from the situation? Or what was your experience? And they're going to use that to, their advantage, like, create whatever narrative they want. The opposing side, whichever one it is going to have to figure out, okay, well, how do we, the whole point of cross-examination is to, like, how do we, like, break this person's story apart. The reason why his statements are not hearsay is because Cassie is going to be on trial. And so they'll have time to, like, ask her about those statements she made and ask her about those experiences.
Yeah. So that's all of that is day one. So day two starts and it's time for Cassie's testimony. And not to be too graphic about it, but she just kind of paints a picture of all of the assault and really everything that she had gone through. That she stated at one point he bashed her head open and like knocked her over. But she also really talks about like these freak offs and like why she did them and how they kind of like went about. Talked about even like going to the CVS to buy Glade candles, because those were the candles that they used. She was very specific about a lot of the things, and she talked about how like the hotel rooms would look after these situations. And I'm talking about every bodily fluid that you could imagine was all over the place, to the point where these hotels had to specifically renovate these rooms just to get everything up out of there. She said these went on for days and that they were so intense that she was all like often in a drug induced state. She said that she developed an addiction to ketamine. So because she would be so out of it that like she could escape the freak offs for a couple of days. So she really paints this insane picture of just like everything that she had to endure for years. So for day 2 and day 3, we hear a lot about the violence that Cassie endured, some of these freak offs, what was going on, her emotional state, her drug abuse. She talked about how the security guards were involved. Like she would have, they would, if she did not answer his text messages, he would send people to come and find her, which does kind of relate back to the whole enterprise of it all. Like you have people like working for you to check on somebody, and the sex trafficking of it all.
Like if this is determined to like, if he's found guilty and they are like, okay, well now we have to go through
After
all these
all
other
these other people,
people
yeah.
that were involved, then it's like, okay, yeah, they're employed.
So yeah, so that's day 2 and day 3. It was a lot of Cassie's testimony on these very disgusting, very, you know, oh my God, it was so hard to listen to. But day 4, and the defense starts to kind of question or challenge Venture's credibility. Now they are not questioning whether or not these freak offs happen. At this point, we know they happen. They have pictures, they have evidence of everything that has happened. So going back a little bit to day 3, the jurors in the case were actually shown videos of these so-called freak offs. So we, the public, will not see them. The press will not see them. No one besides the jury and the
I
defendants.
don't even want to see that as
Yeah,
a jury.
why would you want to see? I don't understand why the public, because the public really did raise concerns about like, why don't we get to see it? Or the press did, not the public, but like press, courtroom personnel. They really wanted to like, they wanted to see it, but it's just like, why?
Why?
Why? Like
Why?
after hearing that woman really talk about what she went
Yeah,
through,
because people don't care. They
people
don't
don't
care.
care. Like they really want to get off on it. That's genuinely what I think.
When I was on a domestic violence clinic, it's stuff that I would have to see as like, the student attorney. That's like, I don't want to see that. Like, I'm like, I don't want to see this, which is why I know I can't do that kind of work.
Yeah.
And which is why I know I definitely don't want to see this. Like,
so, yeah, day 4. So the defense focuses on challenging Ventura's credibility. They're not talking about whether or not she experienced the things that she experienced. They're now trying to question her credibility and like her involvement in the situation,
yeah,
going back to questioning of consent. They're asking her questions like, or they're showing her text messages like, oh, but see, you asked for a freak off this day. You guys weren't even having this interaction.
yeah,
And you asked for it. And she's kind of just like, at this point, these things were just like words, or I was just asking for it just to please him, or because I knew it would please him. And she's saying things like, oh, I love it when we freak off. And like, they're really kind of like questioning her about certain things.
yeah,
Also, it kind of does go in the defense's favor that, one, she's pregnant, she's having pregnancy brain, so she's having lapses in memory. Not only that, but during this time, the time of the freaks off, when she is in a relationship with Diddy, she's in a drug induced state, so it's easy for them to kind of like poke holes in her memory. because
for the prosecution.
No, for the defense to poke holes in her memory and like question her credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to paint her as an unreliable witness.
It seems that they're not trying to necessarily paint her as an unreliable witness, but not so much of a victim as what the public has already like painted her as. They're trying to paint her as like you are another involved person. They're trying to say that this relationship was toxic, but it's not. It's toxic and abusive, but it was still consensual.
Yeah.
So they're saying things like, you know, like you wanted you, but at this point in time, you wanted this.
Yeah, I think. But what I meant by the like unreliable witness is kind of like you were drugged at this time, and you were on drugs at this time, and you are also like having pregnancy brain now. So it's like, how can we trust what you're saying? That part, just that part of it.
Yeah. So the defense is also asking her questions about like when they would take trips and they would have freak offs like over abroad, and they really, I think it was actually the prosecution. I can't remember if it was the prosecution or the defense that's asking her these questions, but they're asking her like, how did these things happen abroad? And they were talking about how she made the calls and she would make the plans. So at a certain point, it seems like I believe that she is a victim of all of this to say, but at a certain point, she does become like his second, where it's just like she is going through all of this, but at the same time, he's tasked her with the task of like, you also have to plan these things that I'm going to use to abuse you, pretty much.
Right. It's like
I'm
putting her in a position to be his accomplice rather than like you're just the like a victim of this.
Yes. So she does get she does say that like she got to pick some of the escorts that they use and stuff like that. She got to like,
it's even like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it really is Stockholm syndrome, because at a certain point, yeah, you are a victim, but like
it's like you're doing what it takes to survive.
Absolutely, she's doing what it takes to survive, and it seems like the defense is trying to use her survival as a point of like consent, like you were doing this because you wanted it, not because you needed to survive off of it. During her testimony, while she is on the stand, they're also talking about her relationship with Kid Cudi. There was a point in time where they had broke up for a stint of time, and she was with Kid Cudi, and then Diddy found out, and he threatened to like blow up his car. I don't know if he actually did blow up his car, but I think that's why he might be getting charged with arson or something like that. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to go back and see that. But yeah, and then day 5 is another day of cross-examination, another day of trying to like poke holes in everything that she's saying. And then the day concludes with one more witness, Dawn Richard, and she provides an account to support the prosecution's case. So she talks about the time that you know who Dawn Richard is, right? She was in Danity Kane, and then she was in Diddy Dirty Money. She was in Diddy Dirty Money with I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
So she was what's the other lady's name?
Kalina.
Yes, Kalina. So one day they're at Diddy's house, and Kalina and Dawn are in the kitchen with Cassie, and Diddy comes out of nowhere and he starts yelling about some eggs because Cassie was fixing him some eggs, but I guess it was taking too long. So he comes in and he literally tries to beat her over the head with a pan. So she testifies to that. I think she also has a case against him of sexual assault. So day 5 concluded with her testimony. So her cross-examination hasn't begun yet. They just brought her on the stand. A long week, 1 of 8.
Like this must just be so just draining.
Yes, and I honestly really want the prosecution to hurry up and get to the enterprise, the criminal enterprise of it all, because like, not to say like we get it, like he's a horrible person, but like it's not this case isn't Diddy versus Cassie.
Yeah.
And me personally, because we talked about the profile of the jury, and I did that purposefully because, like, me personally, I do not have confidence in a jury of 8 men, and most of these people are older, that they are going to convict him of everything, because that motherfucker needs to be under the jail. I want them to hurry up and get to the point where, like, now it can be like without a reasonable doubt this motherfucker did exactly what he is being accused of, because he has done some terrible, we have seen some terrible things in this case, but we haven't gotten to the meat of what he's being charged with.
There are certain things in place where it's like a jury can't just be like, I don't think he did it, and that's it,
Yeah,
and he
no,
can go
no, no,
free.
no,
Like
no.
they have to, like in their like analysis and stuff like that, it has to be like, you know, do you feel like um it is like beyond a reasonable doubt
Hmm.
that like he did these things? Like they really have to think through it, and that's why our deliberations take so long and all this other stuff. So I am hoping that they like the instructions, the jury instructions that the judge gave them are clear to them.
Hmm.
Um and that the prosecution is able to do their
Deliver,
job, which I
yeah.
rarely say.
I think the age thing really got me, and the fact that the men thing really got me, because this whole week all we've been talking about is like men being like abusers and like terrible people, which is why I'm just kind of like, ugh, a jury
Yeah,
of
but
8 men is like,
the stuff that they have to prove is like, well, specifically for the RICO, is not having to detail with abuse.
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
the proof that the enterprise existed.
yeah.
Did it exist or not? That it was if affected interstate commerce. Like none of those things have to do with abuse.
I actually did have a question.
Yeah.
What if there's one member of the jury that's kind of like, oh, this wasn't proved enough for me? Like, because I was listening to something earlier and they were talking about the possibility of a mistrial just because of one juror. What does it take to have a mistrial?
A mistrial and a hung jury are related to distinct concepts in the legal system. A mistrial occurs when a trial is declared null and void, requiring a new trial, while hung jury specifically refers to a situation where jurors cannot reach a unanimous verdict,
Hmm.
often leading to a mistrial. Yeah, so if it's a mistrial, you got to start that whole thing over. Which a lot of people either don't want to do or do want to do for various reasons.
Is there a possibility that one of the jurors is just kind of like, I didn't see this?
I think everything is a possibility,
Hmm.
but to the point where it's like y'all actually hung, like you can't think of nothing. I don't think it's that easy to have a hung jury. But it's also like you do have to come to a unanimous decision.
Hmm.
And it also depends, like, are you hung on every single charge, or is
Hmm.
there one charge, or like what? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but just involving the case in general, please vet your sources on where the fuck you are getting this information from. This is very sensitive information, and you do
Hmm.
not need to be listening to people who are getting their information from third parties.
Yeah. Some people
If
are rage baiting
Yes,
too.
if you are getting your information from, let's say,
I'm not a lawyer, but
not even that, but like
she
a
low key be thorough.
YouTube, like let's say there's somebody on YouTube, like a YouTube streamer, blogger, whatever, who's getting their information from a TikToker, and that TikToker may be in the courtroom, then maybe you should not be getting that information from that YouTube blogger. If you're gonna get it from the TikToker that is in the courtroom, okay, fine, whatever. But you should really be getting your information
Yeah.
from people who know what they are talking about. Get it from a courtroom reporter. That is an actual title that people have. A courtroom reporter just isn't somebody that is just sitting in the courtroom. A courtroom reporter is someone who reports on
What's going
legal
on?
drama in courtroom, in legal proceedings in a courtroom. That is what they
And
do.
most of the time not adding their like own opinion and takes on it.
Yes,
Having
and they're not using language that fluffs up a
Yeah.
situation or makes it more salacious. Get your information from a courtroom reporter. I will be listening some sources on where I'm getting my information from, because I am following this trial on a day-by-day basis. I think the BBC has done a really good job of following the case. ABC has a podcast with a criminal defense attorney, Brian Buckmeyer. He's done a really good job. I'm not on TikTok getting any. I'm not getting any of my information
I'm
from
scrolling right
TikTok.
past those videos.
Scrolling right past. I don't care if this is a. I don't care if this is a TikToker that speaks very well.
Yeah.
Just because they are in the courtroom. There are publications that are paying people $500 just to stand in line to make sure that their court reporters have a seat in the courtroom. Not the overflow room, the courtroom. Like, get your information from
credible sources.
Yeah. Credible
People
sources.
are just like, this is a trending topic. I need to say whatever the first thing that is to come to their mind, and they may not even have not even just the background, but what it takes to be delicate about talking about this kind of situation. Because people are saying the wildest things. It is really disheartening to see. But our whole point of this podcast is to let y'all know what's happening. Stop spreading the spread of misinformation, and
like, there was a tweet that was talking about, that was like a picture of Diddy throwing up hearts, and they were like, "Oh, he's been throwing up hearts at Cassie." No, he has not. That is not a thing. He was throwing up hearts at some of his family members and some of the people that were in the room to support him, because he does have supporters. Weird, but it is true. He was throwing up hearts. He was putting his hand over his heart, doing that. But he wasn't doing that to Cassie during the trial. But I also feel like some people don't care to have accurate information. Some people don't care to be knowledgeable on certain things.
Yeah.
They would just rather
anti-intellectualism.
They would just rather
I don't know why I said it like that.
They would rather just pick up their information from just
tweets.
tweets.
They're like, this is what I want to believe, so I'm good.
I'm gonna
Don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Cause what happens when you're in a conversation with somebody and you're so convicted on this happened, and they're like, it literally didn't. They
don't care.
It literally
those
didn't.
People who are so convicted.
I don't mind being wrong, but I really don't like being loud and wrong, especially about a topic that I think I'm so knowledgeable in.
Exactly.
Just, it's okay to say that you don't know and look it up. Look it up. And look it up from a
We be doing that throughout the podcast.
Yes. I usually cut it out and I try to piece it together really easily, but we are oftentimes taking a break and looking things up.
Yes, because we want to stop this spread of misinformation. We want y'all to be informed, and we are okay admitting we don't know something.
Yeah.
There are times she asked me a question, I'm like, you know what? I don't know that. I really don't.
Don't know.
But I can find out. I also know how, especially when it's legal stuff, I know how to filter out what's BS and what's just being told to me. Yeah. So that's why they were talking, people were talking on TikTok about how telling someone to just Google something isn't always an effective means of helping them understand something, because there's so much. Google's not going to always give you the right or clear answer, and most times stuff is in black and white.
I was gonna say, and now Google does AI generated summaries.
AI overview.
Which, I mean, I'm not gonna, if you're looking up something very simple, then I think it might be okay to use it, especially if you're using it for maybe a yes or no. But it also really depends on how you are phrasing the question, because one thing that I learned in media literacy is that whatever you are looking for, you will find.
Yeah.
If you want to find out if I don't know, if Beyonce is a mermaid, you can find articles on how Beyonce is also a mermaid.
Yeah.
If you want to find out anything, you can look it up and find it out. But if you are asking questions, very specific questions on the internet, then you will find out the truth. You will find out whatever truth you are looking for. And that is a very, very dangerous thing. Yeah. So you have to be very clear and concise about, one, what are you even researching?
Yeah.
What are you
why?
looking for?
And how much of your own bias are you putting into finding the information you need to find?
And are you okay with being wrong based on what you thought you knew?
Right.
Are you going to be okay with what you thought you knew being wrong?
Right. Do you care more about being informed or being right?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we're dropping knowledge on y'all, like dropping some gems.
Y'all don't deserve it.
They do.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do. Oh. Do we have anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Y'all, this has been fun.
Yes. And we're back to our
regularly scheduled program. Yep, we are back.
Yes.
Thanks for everyone that has been
Is this our 7th episode?
No, 7th episode was last week. We never talked about it though.
Oh, wow.
We never brought
beat the statistic.
We beat the statistic. We beat the statistic. This is episode number 8. 8. Y'all, thanks for everyone who's watched
and asking us questions,
interacted with us on social media. We appreciate you.
Yes. We comment, like, subscribe, share. Ask us
questions.
You got the podcast for people. Like, this is the podcast for people.
If you like, oh, they're doing a really good job of summarizing the case.
Right.
Bi-weekly.
Right.
Because we are a bi-weekly podcast.
Yes, remember that. We want y'all to remember that.
Yes. We are not rushing to give you all this information.
We're not like, boom, this will happen. Boom, this will happen. No.
Nope.
Let's
Don't
be delicate,
look for
guys.
us on a day-by-day basis to give you information. You can ask us questions and we might answer them on social media via our Instagram story.
Yes. And our Google Doc or Google form.
Yes.
And the links in our bio on our Instagram.
Yes, and you can ask us questions in the comments. Somebody asked me about being a guest on here. Did you see that? It happened in my comments on TikTok. Maybe you didn't see it.
No, I didn't.
And he was like, do I need to be educated to be on there? And I was like, he said, what's the criteria? He was asking me, like, what's the criteria for being a guest on the podcast? And I said, we usually I said, when we have guests, it'll be someone that is usually an expert in a field or just, an expert in, a field or whatever relevant topic we're talking about.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, because I'm not really educated, so that probably wouldn't be the platform for me. Nigga, who invited you? He said, but at least
he's self-aware.
Yeah. I was like, at least he's self-aware.
He's just trying to talk. He's just trying to go in here and talk.
He was like, I'm just trying to network, but I'm not educated, so this wouldn't be the best platform for me.
Network for what? For where? For
like,
why?
Okay,
for
nigga,
how?
At least you know that you're not educated and you can't come up on here.
You know something? I've been more comfortable cursing online now that I'm married, if that makes sense.
Really?
Yes, but I think it's because I feel like, not an adult now, but I feel like I was so like worried about like with my family kind of thing. But now I'm like, I'm my own web, like,
fuck y'all.
Like, it's like I feel grown. Like I feel so grown.
Speaking of cursing, just for like red flag, if you are getting your information from someone that can't say rape and has to say grape,
sexual assault, like that, don't you know when it's something good, it's like it itches a part of your brain? This is like clawing in my brain. Like, I hate when people do that.
Grow up or let somebody else do it.
Yeah. Not that you should just like, this is why we offer trigger warning so that, people can be prepared to hear stuff like that. But it's like, that adds up, I feel like, a layer of like unseriousness.
It does, because what people are really worried about is their video being seen.
Yeah.
If you're so worried about your video being seen and so worried about like censorship and being banned, don't talk about it, because that topic is not for you.
Yeah.
You're clearly doing this for views.
Kicked out of the creator program.
Yeah, you're clearly doing this for views. And this topic should not be exploited in that way.
Yes.
But all right, we've talked enough. We've laughed. We've kikied. We gave y'all, I don't know how much longer this episode is going to be, but it's definitely going to be longer than our usual episodes.
Yeah.
Because we missed you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys deserve it. That's enough for now.
Peace to you.
Whatever she did.